Offer submitted. We lost. Buyers sad. Carpet
What?
fine.
The sales had carpet?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I do too. But this is genius. Let's start doing it per listing.
Per listing.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alyssa and Katie, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths.
Okay, hello.
Hey, Katie.
How are you, Alyssa?
Just great.
This is episode 110.
Okay.
And we're going to call it something about feedback.
Okay.
I'm literally going to call it something about feedback. No, I won't.
Well, feedback, I feel, is the thing that you see the most rants about
Yes.
in the realtor groups.
Uh-huh.
It seems to be very problematic for
Well,
most.
and it's very polarized. Like, people are so upset about it.
Yeah, they get really disturbed.
And they're always ranting about it. Like, and it's a different agent all the time. I'm like, why are we playing this record again? It's not changing.
If you go in like the search feature of the groups and type in feedback, it
Post
is
after post
oh
after
my
post.
gosh, it's just talked about so much.
So hey, guess what? We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Before we get there, I'll give you a quick update.
Okay.
The show has now been downloaded 300,000 times.
What?
Yes.
300,000?
Yes.
Whoa.
Whoa is
That's
right.
a lot.
It's a super lot. So that was pretty cool. I was like, what? I cannot believe. I know you like a milestone.
I do. I love a milestone.
So there you go. You're more than halfway to 500,000.
Great.
Wow.
More than halfway.
More than halfway. Yeah. So, okay, moving on to feedback.
Okay. Oh, wait.
What?
We are going to start a little thing.
Oh my God, we almost forgot.
forgot.
Before we move on to feedback.
At the beginning of each episode for the next several weeks.
Yep.
We are going to dedicate 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm going to update you
Should I set
on
a
my
timer?
flip house.
Yes. Okay. So Alyssa has purchased this morning, as of our recording today, September 7th, has purchased a flip house.
Yes.
All right. Tell us.
So I thought we could follow the flip.
I'm really jazzed about it.
So I went on, a little backstory real quick on how it came to be.
Did you also tell this story? Did you tell me the story or did you tell it on the show?
I just told you. I think
Okay,
this
great.
is my
Then
first
tell-
time mentioning it.
Perfect.
So whenever I bought my first investment property,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my second investment property
Boy.
Sorry.
She's like, it's been so many.
a few years ago, it was a lady who called me and said that her sister passed away.
Okay.
It was her sister's house. She doesn't live here.
Right.
She's now managing the house, cutting the grass, doesn't want the house.
Okay.
Could I list it for her? I said, sure. I
Right.
went on the listing appointment, suggested a list price of $125. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath tiny house. And
Okay.
this was like 6 years ago.
Right.
So
It's
different
been a minute.
market.
Right. Different market.
And then when I suggested 125, she asked if we could list it for 100 because she doesn't want it and she wanted it to be a quick sale. And at the time, it was not a seller's market.
Okay.
So I offered her 90.
You were like, well, wait a minute.
yeah, if you're that motivated and,
I'm here.
all of that.
Don't
so
want to pay a commission. Just
yes,
I'll take that thing off your
yes.
hands.
So I bought it and just like painted, put in new floors, and it's been a
It's
wonderful
a
rental.
This is the one you have paid off.
Yes.
Okay.
That one I just recently paid off, and it's one of my best rentals.
Okay.
So fast forward all these years later, same lady calls me.
Okay.
And it's funny because I saw her name pop up on my caller ID, and it took me a second.
You're like, I know this name.
I know this name. I know this name.
Yeah.
So right before I answered, I was like, I think this is the lady.
It's the lady.
So she says, Alyssa, I don't know if you remember me.
You're like, just barely.
She said, you bought the house on George. And I said, yes, I do. I remember. And she said, okay, well, my husband's mother
Okay.
has passed away.
Okay.
She lives around the corner
Okay.
of the house on George.
Okay.
And you bought the other one. So I was going to see if you would want to buy this one.
She came to you straight. Do
Yeah.
you want to buy it?
Do you want to buy it?
Not even like, do you want to list
She
it?
said, and if you don't, could you sell it for us?
Okay.
And I actually, the first thing I said was, I'm actually not in a position to buy something right now.
Okay.
but I can definitely help you sell it.
Okay.
And so I will come
Look
do a
at it.
walkthrough.
Right.
Well, don't you know, I pull up and I'm greeted by the most gorgeous oak tree
You were
you've
like,
ever
"Oh,
seen.
So I am in the market.
Maybe I
Maybe
could
I'm
be.
in the market.
And it was a brick house, which is rare for that area.
Okay.
Like most of the houses there have asbestos siding or wood siding.
Is it on a slab?
It's on a slab.
Oh, yeah, this is different.
Because it's in an area where everything is very pier and beam. So I just all of a sudden saw all this potential.
Right. You're like,
and then I got inside, and while very dated, it is very well taken care of.
Okay.
And I just kind of fell in love with the house.
Oh, I love it.
So I did crunch some numbers and put some things together.
Okay,
and
hold on a second.
Okay,
'Cause
made
he's
an
not
offer.
going. Okay, well, wait. Yeah, I'm coming back to that. Pause. Oh, he's gone. Okay, good. He got it. It's good. We're good. Okay. Beep, beep, beep. Back up.
I did give them 2 scenarios.
Okay.
I told them if we list it,
Uh-huh.
I think that we could list it for 180.
Okay.
As is.
Right, the way it was.
We know that the air conditioner needs to be replaced.
Okay.
It's functioning, but it's over 30 years old.
End of its life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I said, or, I can pay you 140.
Right.
No commissions, obviously.
Right.
No repairs. I'm just going to buy it as is, as it sits. We can close when you're ready. You don't have to worry about cleaning up the backyard.
There was stuff to be done.
There was definitely stuff to be done that we would have needed to do if we were going to
If you're listing
At
it.
least clean the yard and empty
Right.
the house. And so I just told her, you can leave everything as is, and I'll handle it all.
Right.
And so yes, we came to an agreement.
I love
and
it.
we will update next episode.
Okay, great. Before we leave this,
Yeah.
you have done one previous flip project.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you think you would flip again?
The first one I did with my dad.
Okay.
The second one I did by myself.
Okay.
And it caused me a lot of anxiety.
Right. I remember that one, I think.
It was just like, oh my gosh, people don't like the house. What have I done? All my money's tied up in this house. What if it doesn't sell for what I think it will?
Right.
But I am in a better position this time to,
Mm-hmm.
like on the one I did by myself a few years ago, I did not have the budget to do real wood floors.
Right.
And it needed it.
Okay.
I painted the cabinets that probably should have been replaced.
Got
this
it.
go round, I'm going to replace the cabinets.
Got it.
So I'm more excited.
Okay.
Talk to me in a few weeks.
Okay.
But right now I'm more excited because it's going to be done really, really well.
Okay. How long do you anticipate doing this, the work?
I have a really great contractor who is ready to go, meeting me there today. He's already met me there once to get like a game plan. And so we're meeting today to actually start everything.
Like here are the
go
keys,
over
go.
everything. Yes.
Okay.
He could probably be done in 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Now, windows I ordered them 2 weeks ago, which was
Yes.
really brave because we
you're like,
hadn't closed yet.
yeah.
But it's on 12-week back order.
Right.
So windows are going to be
The holdup.
the last thing.
Mhm.
And just depending on if we're done, totally done before
Mm-hmm.
windows, I can't decide if I should
list it
wait.
without-
Like if it's a long time, then I could just list it and say windows are coming. You'll
Yeah.
have all new windows, but the windows are going to make it's
It's going to make it look good.
the house has this sunroom that has, I think, 9 windows
Yeah.
in it. And it would just it's going to look so good when
Okay.
it's finished. So
Ah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you
We'll
have to
see.
feel out the market
Yes.
at that point.
And see if I need to hurry and get it listed
Yeah.
or if it's okay to wait for the windows.
Okay. Well, I cannot wait for the update as we come back every so often and hear what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. And I need to just go and see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't wait. Very, very, very exciting times because the design part of this stuff gets me real jazzed.
Yes, and that's the part that I'm like,
You don't want to. You're just dollars and censing, and I'm
Yes.
like, what color is it going
right.
to be?
And I'm like, I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, perfect.
I need help because I want
I
to
can't
paint
wait.
the outside navy.
Yeah, I like that.
And I need to find a good navy, like a gray slate navy.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Can be done.
Okay.
All right, moving on to feedback.
Feedback.
So that's we'll call that our flip report.
Mm-hmm.
The flip report.
Yes.
Okay, so feedback. Tell me, All right, I'm going to start with this.
Okay.
I sent you an article that because you know Inman is like my favorite. I sent you this article that was an opinion piece in Inman.
Yes.
And what I found to be very interesting about this opinion piece was it was titled, "Listing Feedback Doesn't Matter, Stop Worrying About It." It's like, why? Because we're talking about all these agents fussing all the time about not getting the feedback, and they need the feedback. And all this reminds me of is one of my friends in real estate used to say, here's the feedback. You didn't get an offer.
Right.
There is no other. It is the most black and white feedback that there is. No offer sent.
Right.
Means we do not like your home.
Right.
For whatever reason, price or condition or location, whatever it is. Now, would it be nice to know why they didn't send the offer?
Sure.
Sure. Does it help the seller to make adjustments during the course of the listing? Yes. Do I think that agents who, for one, what percentage of agents do you think don't even fill it out?
Half?
That's what I would have said. At least half, or from
40% maybe.
Not even going to fill it out. Then there's probably half of that half, so another 25% that fill it out the same every time.
Yep. 3.
Click the button there. It's always a 3 or a 4. Price too high. End of the story, right?
Yes.
And then there might be the other 25% who thought, like said, the red cabinets are a problem. I don't even know if it's that many people.
Right.
What would you say? 10% of your feedback
I'm one
is
of those
good?
people.
Right. So it's hard to, but think about all your listings.
Yeah, no, it never
How
happens.
often do you get feedback that it's like, they didn't really love the, shape of the yard, or like, it's not that
really
specific.
would be helpful
if
it was that specific.
But it's not. And it's almost useless if it's not specific.
The way that feedback comes in now is not worth much.
No. Now, I think the reason why agents get so upset about it is because their sellers are so upset about it.
But to me, that is the listing agent's fault.
Agree.
It is our job as listing agents to set the expectation that not all agents leave feedback. If you have our templates, in our pre-listing template, we set the...
I think it's actually... Your home is listed now.
Yes,
so what's going to happen
listed.
now? You're going to have showings now. And this is how, and the majority of that email is legitimately about feedback. This is how feedback works.
Right.
This is how I'm going to receive it. This is how you will receive it. This is how I will follow up with those agents if they do not provide the automated feedback. And then my favorite line of this entire email is, and then we have to assume that they're not interested.
If we cannot get the feedback, despite my calls and emails and texting, they are not interested.
The end.
Yes.
Please don't. And that means Mr. and Mrs. Seller, please do not call me and harass me to death for feedback that I have already told you may not be coming.
I haven't had a seller get upset about feedback.
Since
I can't think of
email.
Right.
Since that email.
Because it just lets me know, hey, I just want to let you know I have followed up on this and we are not getting feedback from this showing.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Sometimes I definitely have sellers who check in and are like, did you get feedback?
Sure.
And I'll be like, no. And I promise as soon as I do, you'll be the first to know. And this is where I'm at in the process.
Yes.
Either have I called? Have I texted? We already know they're going to receive the 2 auto emails. If they haven't responded to any of that, then we move on.
Sure.
But you have to stand in your conviction that that's okay. And it's the seller who puts the pressure on the agent, who makes the agent insane. And that's why they want to go to the group and post fussiness because they are not handling their seller's expectations.
Right.
Honestly, as a listing agent, do you really care if you got feedback?
I like it. I get excited when it
like
comes
it
in my
too.
email. I'm like, oh, good feedback. Oh,
Yeah, not so good.
So y'all know how I do my email. So whenever I have a showing on a new listing or a listing, I leave the showing confirmation in my
Me too.
inbox.
Same.
Until I get feedback.
So you know who to
so
follow
when I
up
get
with.
a feedback email,
Then
I'm
you
like,
can delete.
woohoo,
Yeah.
I can delete that email. And then when I don't get feedback, I still have that email in my inbox. And so I say, wait a minute, this feedback never came through, at which point I email them.
Right.
Hey, how did the showing go?
Yeah.
And then you can follow up from there. But once I've called it quits, I delete the email and just say, hey, we're just going to assume that person was not interested. I reached out a couple of times.
Yeah. And I think the key here is also you do have to check in with your seller and say, I've reached out, no response. We're case closed.
They need to hear from you that you tried.
They just need to know where we're at.
Well, that's part of a service that we provide, that we tried.
Yes.
But the agents that are going on listing interviews saying, I will get feedback from showings.
Yeah.
You won't always. And that's over promising, which is what is leading to the seller frustration.
Agree.
Do you have other ways that you like to get feedback? I wrote down a few things that I do.
Sometimes if, let's just say I have a problematic listing and I think that the red dining room is the issue. And I maybe do or don't even, maybe I get vague feedback. I'm going to follow up just as much with vague feedback as I do with no feedback at all.
Sure.
I'm probably going to make a phone call and I'm going to say, you know, hey, Susie, you showed the house and not 2 weeks later, y'all, I do not understand why an agent is coming back to me. Now, I've already likely provided feedback or somehow it fell through the cracks or we didn't do the showings and like the system's messed up. 2 weeks later, I do not remember your house.
No.
Do not come after me for showing feedback 2 weeks later. Anyway, if I've gotten vague feedback or no feedback, I'm going to call that agent within 48 hours, okay? At the most 72. They're not going to remember your house after that. And I'm going to say, hey, I noticed you gave feedback and maybe didn't say much about XYZ or whatever. Can you tell me if your buyers mentioned that red dining room?
Yeah.
Do you think that is part of the problem? Like, have a specific question, not just, hey, you didn't give good feedback. Can you tell me more? I'd be like, hey, do you remember my house with the green pool? Do you think the green pool is what held your people back? What if I told you now the seller has already fixed the pool and it looks better than when you were there?
Sure.
Do you know what? Like, specific.
Yes. So there was an article about specific questions to ask. So these were the questions that they said are good probing questions.
Ooh, good. Let's hear it.
What was your overall impression?
Okay.
How many times did they walk in and go, feels like an old person lives here?
Okay.
Or it feels like it's been empty for a long time.
Right.
Or it feels like it's a foreclosure. Like you always walk in and have
what is the
that
feeling?
Yes, that feeling.
Okay.
How did this house compare to the others y'all have looked at?
That's a good one.
Yes.
Like, well, we looked at all. Surely you were in the same price range. How did they compare? Okay.
What did they like about the house? Meaning, like, what got them there? Why did they come?
Oh, in the first
look
place.
at it?
Okay.
Was there something that drew them to the house?
Okay.
What was their least favorite thing about it?
I really like that one.
Yes.
What did they
That's
not
the important
like?
thing.
Because the only thing my sellers can impact is what you didn't like. So if we don't know what that is, how can we go change the dining room paint or whatever?
Right. How was it priced compared to others?
Okay.
And then the last one, I do not like this question because it makes me feel like I got sucked into one of those salesy training classes.
Oh,
But
God.
what would it take for you to buy it today?
Oh, I hate that.
It was on the list, but I don't like it at all.
I hate that too. Well, what can we do to encourage an offer?
Yes.
Although I have used that word, that term.
That's better.
Yeah, what could my seller do to encourage an offer? Like, is there something?
Right.
Was it just that they thought the price was wrong? Was it just that they didn't want to tackle the painting, but maybe we do want to tackle it? Like, what could we do? I think those are pretty interesting. While we're on questions of feedback, do you have yours? So look, our MLS uses showing time.
Yes.
This is not an ad for showing time. It just is what our MLS uses.
Sure.
I love that it's all the same service because it makes scheduling very easy. But it has a template, with feedback questions. Do you use the template with the 4 questions and then the blank, or how is yours?
Yes, I have it just the set template that it comes with.
Okay.
But after even researching and preparing for this episode, I'm like, I kind of want to go in and make some edits.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the template comes with.
Okay.
Number 1 question, and they're multiple choice. It says, is your client interested in this listing? The choices are very, somewhat, maybe, and not interested. I would like to stop here and ask you, what is the difference between somewhat and maybe? I find that to be a really weird gray. I'm like, maybe it's like, well, they didn't hate it, but they didn't like it at all. And somewhat is like, well, we like it, but we're thinking about. It's very weird.
Right.
And now you can change the responses as well. It could be very, not, or not at all, or somewhere in the middle. Like
yes or no.
You could change them. Okay. Next, question number 2 is, please rate your overall experience at this showing.
Okay.
Choices being excellent, good, fair, and poor.
Okay.
I also find this question to be hard because I've only seen a handful of excellent properties, right? Like fully staged, fully clean, fully well maintained. Mm-hmm. And then it feels like,
I feel like everybody puts like
good. They
yes.
just say good. And then, I mean, I very rarely have said poor, but I've said fair plenty.
Sure.
I mean,
if
like,
it's dirty or
it's
needs
like,
attention, they
it's
need to know.
Yeah. I mean, you know. Oh God. Okay. Number 3, your and your client's opinion of price. Just right, too high, or too low. Has anyone in the history of ever responded too low?
No.
Oh, the price is too low. We're getting a steal here. And then if you're going to make an offer, are you going to put just right?
Right. I almost cringe when they put just right, but it's not the house for them because now I have no ammunition
You're like, I've
to
got
go back to
nothing.
my seller.
Right. If they say
and they're
it's
like, well,
too
that
high,
one showing said that
price
the
was
price was
right.
just right.
Yeah, I in fact think I might want to remove the pricing question.
Right.
I don't
agree.
Because more often than not, if the agent is smart, they leave it blank. Right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to say just right if I'm trying to negotiate. I don't want to say too high if it ends up being multiple offer, then you think that I don't want it for this price. So I might as well just not ask.
Sure.
Or I have gotten feedback before, and it's not in our set one, where the agent asks, what price do you think this will sell for?
That is helpful. I like that one.
And I'm like, that is interesting if I know the market well enough in that neighborhood.
Yeah. And then it's like an agent may put a number, but they're not running comps and making an educated answer.
So then again, do I want to pass that along to my seller if it wasn't really an educated? It's tough. So the pricing questions I think are really tough. Mm-hmm. The next one in ours is question 4. Please rate this listing.
Okay.
5 being best and 1 being worst. That's what it says, worst.
Sure. Okay.
It feels wrong. But anyway, everyone puts 4. Mm-hmm. Right?
3 or 4.
We're never getting a 5 unless I've got an offer, and that's when the feedback comes post-offer sent, right? 5, best, offer written, right?
Yes.
And then question number 5 is comments/recommendations and the blank field.
See, I always put a good amount of stuff there.
That's where the specifics come in. Mm-hmm. But if you change these questions to be, what was your client's favorite thing about this house? Blank field. What was your client's least favorite thing about this house? Blank field. Mm-hmm. Skip the price. Skip the rate this listing 1 to 5. We already know what that's going to be. Maybe that's all you need.
How does it compare to others?
What price do you think this will sell for?
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. That's what we need to know.
That's all. And maybe that's probing enough to get some specific information. Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe I'm going to edit my questions, I think.
Yeah. Maybe we can do that today. Be productive.
See how it goes. Okay. What else do you want to say about the feedback questions or agents giving feedback?
I've mentioned before that sometimes I like to do it in the house with my clients.
Oh, I love that.
Like I have my phone out and I say, hey guys, I do have to fill out a feedback form for every house we go in. I tend to do it more when I'm showing 3 or 4 houses at a time.
Okay.
So that way when I'm done, I don't have to go check my email. And
right. You're just trying to
I'm just trying to be efficient.
We have said in the professionalism episodes that we do believe that filling out the feedback is the right thing to do.
We do.
Professionally.
Yes. I think it is. I do think it is helpful when done correctly.
Agree.
When you give constructive feedback.
Yep.
That it would actually benefit them. And I want to help you sell your listing. Mm-hmm. So while this may not be the one for my client,
right.
I want to help you understand what we're seeing here.
Right. Okay.
I had an agent tell me recently they always get excited when I show one of their listings.
Because they want the feedback. Well, good. She's going to
be those agents.
Yes.
Be those agents that other agents want to work with.
It doesn't take... Look, skip all the multiple choice. Go straight to the blank and fill in some comments. Nobody cares if you tell them if it's priced right or not. Well, I mean, unless you want to be real specific. Mm-hmm. But just tell them the cabinets need to be painted. Mm-hmm. The yard is a mess. Whatever it is, like these are the problems. Mm-hmm.
Hello, friends. We are so excited that so many of you are using the template course, and the reviews are just pouring in, letting us know that it has helped your business as much as it has helped our business.
Yes, listen to this review. Thank you so much for providing this wealth of information, knowledge in template form. So far, I've used a handful and received positive feedback like, "This is so professional," or "I really appreciate how organized you are." I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah,
Your clients
it's all
are actually
there.
going to say that.
Yes.
All right, here's another one. Thank you so much for this. I can't tell you how many times I've started this and how many notebooks of samples and notes I had. I have ADHD and it is super hard to stay focused on getting it done. Having it all in one place is going to make it so nice.
That is what we're here for.
I know, just look, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just use these.
Yeah, nice and simple, easy, ready to go, ready for you to put your own logo on, make it sound like you. So head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/course and check it out.
That's right.
And you're going to enjoy them. You're going to love them.
You're gonna
It's going
love
to
it.
change your life.
Literally fired my assistant. They are the best. Okay, bye,
Enjoy
friends.
the template.
Yes, enjoy.
What is your stance on filling out the feedback if you're the buyer's agent and you think you're going to write an offer?
I might wait
Right.
to even fill it out
Right.
until after we've written the offer.
Right.
When I was new, there was a time or two where I was like, they love it. We're writing an offer. And we never wrote an offer.
Oh, and no, my God. That is the worst.
And I've also had it happen to me as the listing agent where, and it's only really the newbies.
I never forward those to
Oh,
the
man.
seller until I have the offer.
Same. I just, a
They
lot
get
of
so
agents do that,
excited.
and you need to be really careful.
Yes.
You don't want to put anything
Look,
if you know that it's the one.
And maybe when you left that showing, your buyer really did say, I want to write an offer. And then they went home and slept on it or whatever. And then they were like,
yep.
maybe I don't want to write an offer. And then you feel like a fool.
Right.
And that listing agent, especially if they told their seller, oh, that's the worst. It's like a knife in the heart.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's the worst.
I also think that I don't send them as a buyer's agent if I'm going to write the offer, or I'll try to delay as long
delay.
as I can.
And then when it pops in my email the next time, I put offer submitted
correct,
because they've already gotten it.
yeah, and then you just want it to stop sending you the alert.
Mm-hmm.
But because of when we're in a seller's market, the multiple offer situation, you don't want to. You're going to show cards.
Right.
There's no way to complete feedback well and not show some of your cards.
Right.
So you might as well not submit the feedback and submit the offer. That in itself is feedback.
That's your feedback. Yes.
Guess what? We loved it. Here is the offer. We don't need to tell you XYZ on these particular questions.
I always like when they say, like, I've gotten their offer, and then the next day the feedback comes through and it's like, buyers loved it, offer submitted.
Yeah.
You know, it's the people that sent the offer, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, look, they still.
They're like, we don't need
They
this in
like
my
it.
email.
That was, I had an agent that was in a multiple offer,
Okay.
and he lost.
Yeah.
And the next day his feedback came in, and it
I
said,
lost.
offer submitted, we lost, buyers sad.
Buyer crying.
Buyer.
We are sad.
I'll say I'm sorry.
I've also had a multiple offer situation. In fact, one that you were involved in on my listing where one of the agents' feedback did take them out of the running in the multiple offers because they said they had listed sweetly some very specific concerns they had. And I'm like, I don't need concerns.
Right.
This is a multiple
It's gonna
offer.
sell.
Right.
Who wants it the most?
We're worried about XYZ repairs. I'm like, you're going to be a nightmare in inspection. But y'all, if that's the kind of thing that happens, you're showing your cards.
Yes.
You have to be careful if you're really going to write the offer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was an article about 5 ways to get more feedback.
Ooh, let's hear that.
Request it timely.
Agree.
Okay, so on that note, the agents that text you an hour or two after leaving the house,
No, thank you.
don't do that.
No.
They might be showing other houses. They will get
Also,
to it.
don't text me on Sunday morning
Right.
or Saturday night. If you want to text me Monday during business hours for a weekend showing, I will be more inclined to help you with feedback than if you were urgently. And please, please don't text me Sunday morning for a showing I did over a week ago.
Right. Yes. So timely doesn't mean super fast.
No, just at appropriate
At
time.
appropriate
At an
time.
appropriate time.
Okay. Keep the form short
Okay.
because the shorter it is, the more likely.
We're about to do that.
Yeah.
We're taking it down to 3 questions.
Yes, great. Only ask what you'll use, which we just talked about. And then I thought this was kind of interesting, a little extra effort. Customize per listing.
Oh my God, I was literally about to say that.
House specific questions.
I mean, I have to go type in all of their information anyway on the showing time. Why don't I go in and be like, hey, did the oak cabinets in the kitchen give your buyer pause?
So I showed a house recently where the backyard was totally sloped.
Oh.
So you could say, what did your buyer think of the backyard?
That's a great idea.
Did your buyers like the pool?
Right. Especially if your seller is on the fence about replacing carpet or something. Would newer carpet have made a difference in your showing?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I do too. But this is genius. Let's start doing it per listing.
Per listing.
Oh, if you're going to get the feedback at least. And then look, can you imagine if you pulled up feedback and it said something like that?
I'd be like, oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I would.
You're right. That carpet was terrible. Or no, carpet, fine.
Right. I didn't even notice.
Didn't even
Carpet
what?
fine.
This house had carpet? I mean, but really, there's such an opportunity here to actually help your seller, and we're missing the boat completely.
Yes.
And we're letting our sellers get all worked up into a tizzy about it. Well, what did they say? Well, guess what? 50% of the time, they're going to say literally nothing. And here's an even bigger shocker. One of those people who saw your house and gave no feedback may even bring you an offer.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything other than their agent just didn't do the feedback.
Right. And sometimes it's just not the one.
Right.
There maybe wasn't.
It's intangible.
Right. You just know sometimes.
It's easier to get through this with sellers who are also currently buyers because they're like, I get it. Like I haven't been particular. And some, like we've talked about in previous episodes, some buyers are incredibly hard to read and it's hard to pull anything out of them. And they may leave a house and you think they hate it and really they love it because they're just not talkers. Do you know, like it's just, but you as an agent still have a professional opinion about the presentation of that home. I mean, you can still share, well, we looked at 5, yours was the highest price and the worst condition.
Sure.
Like there's,
very helpful.
That's helpful. Okay. I think you wanted to also talk about agents who are just basically being salesy and telling their clients whatever they want to hear.
Yeah.
How does that play into this whole topic?
I think that kind of goes back to the listing appointment.
Yes.
Where you're doing anything to get the listing. And so they're not getting feedback from you that they need.
Right.
Because you're scared to lose the listing.
Yep.
But I tell my clients, if I don't tell you now, the feedback from the showings is going to tell us. And I would rather it be me telling you the truth than the market.
Yeah.
Because I tell them too, once they have
You
come to
only
your
have
house,
the one chance.
they don't come back.
No.
If they say we didn't like the carpet, even if I call them and say, well, replace the carpet, they're not coming back.
It's too late because it's a feeling.
Yes.
It's an intangible. Oh,
Right.
I can see myself living here. That's the same reason why you have to take the pictures off the wall.
Yes.
I'm not saying your pictures of your baby aren't delightful, but someone feels like they're in your home, not their home. I think that makes total sense. It's really all about setting your seller's expectations. Now, I have told my sellers before who maybe were not in a financial position to paint the red dining room or do some big project that probably needs to be done. And if they push and then we price accordingly, and I'll just say, look, we're gonna ask for feedback to find out if this is a problem, and so we're gonna have to just try. And so
on that note,
yes, tell me.
This is where I made some notes on other ways to get feedback.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
I feel like this would be a really good episode to listen to when you are in a buyer's market.
Okay.
When houses are sitting a little bit longer.
Yep.
These are some things that I did.
Okay.
To
get the feedback.
Yes, get some feedback
to help your seller.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
to help the seller.
Okay.
And to just put forth effort and show value. So, open house feedback.
Okay.
Whenever I would do an open house, I would grab a flyer and I would walk around the house as it was the day of the open house and make notes of everything that I thought needed to be staged or
Changed.
tweaked
Okay.
or changed. Maybe it was different than when we came for photos.
Mhm.
You know what? They always, loosen up a little bit after photo day.
Right.
And then I also, as each person comes in, I say, I'm making a list of feedback for the seller. If there's
that's good.
anything that I can add to it, please let me know. And I'll always tell the people at the open house, this is not my house. So you will
You're not gonna hurt
offend
yeah.
me. So anything that you can tell me is helpful. And then they're like, oh.
I wanna
And
be
I also
helpful.
feel like it just makes them feel comfortable.
I think it also helps them to look at it a little bit more closely.
Yes, I think so. So that way, and here's the thing, whether one person or 10 people came to the open house, I have always had the back of that flyer filled with anything.
Notes.
Yeah, notes.
I
Even
love
if
that.
it's the neighbor across the street was concerning because their yard is so overgrown.
Right.
Or the parking on the street.
What did you notice?
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's all feedback
Yeah.
that they need to know. And so I just tell them, this is feedback from the open house.
Yeah.
And
This
it's
is the
a lot
same
of
type of feedback that you're nervous to give at the listing appointment that will actually get you the listing.
Yes.
When you're afraid to tell them the truth that the neighbor's overgrown house with the, car that's on, like, whatever you call that, the jack in the driveway, that's a problem, and you're afraid to say it because you want
But
the
he's
listing.
the nicest guy next door,
So
but they
friendly,
don't
but
like
the-
his car on the jack.
The buyers
up
don't want to
there.
see it. But I think making that list and giving that feedback up front and then again at your open house, it's really helped. The seller wants that.
Yes.
Even if it hurts their feet, do it nicely. But even if they're a little upset about it or hurt or annoyed, it's really what they need. So I think for the most part, ultimately, they're happy you told them.
Sure.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what else?
Okay, so I did this one time, only once, but
Oh,
no,
okay.
maybe twice. I really enjoyed it, and I
Oh.
still think about it.
Okay.
I did not want to do an agent tour.
Okay.
Where you open it up and you beg all your friends to come
Please
and
come
you
and eat
have all
food.
this money that you have to do for gift cards, and people are coming out of inconvenience just because they like you and feel sorry for you. So instead of doing an agent tour,
Yes.
I went to that zip code.
Okay.
I typed in the price range that my house was in. So my house was $350. So I did from $300 to $400.
Okay.
And I contacted 5 listing agents.
Okay.
And I said, hey guys, I have this house that isn't selling. I see that you have one in the same area, in the
Right.
same price point. Would y'all mind if we toured our 5 houses?
You did an agent tour with agents that had listings in the
same exact
area.
zip code,
same price.
same price.
Okay.
We offered each other nothing.
Right.
Because
the feedback was worth something.
we needed the feedback. And I said, listen, each house, we will be in each house less than 5 minutes.
Right.
And when we are in the house, I opened up my phone and I typed an email to my seller. So that way I don't, when this is over, it's over. I'm not going to have to go back to my computer and type up this long thing. So I said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is the feedback that I have gotten from the agents that came through your house today. And it was kind of like, what's that? Like speed dating?
Yes.
It was exactly like speed
It was
dating.
speed
and
touring.
we had so much fun.
Oh, I love it.
We went through each room and they were like, this, that.
I have done
And
the
I
same
just
thing before.
Made all these notes. And then before I locked the door, I sent the email.
you're like, done.
And they had everything they needed.
Here you go.
And we did all 5 houses, I think, in an hour and 20 minutes. And then we had lunch and just kind of brainstormed. Y'all, I got so much value out of it. And it was just...
Yes, I have done the same thing. Agents in the same area. We went to lunch and then we toured. There's 5 of us. We went to each of our 5 listings and we did the same thing.
I really enjoyed it.
It was-
and it made me meet agents that I've never met before.
Same.
That I really liked.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, if you don't want to go that route, I have also emailed the link to several agents, like maybe like the top in that zip code. I
Okay.
usually stick to zip code. And the email says, I see that you sell a lot in this zip code. This is a listing I have that I'm having trouble selling. I was going to see if you would mind sending me some feedback after looking through the photos. And if you do, if you want to send me one of your listings, I would be happy to give feedback for you.
Right.
So I'm basically doing a virtual version of what we
Yes.
just talked about, but I'm letting them know I will give you feedback on yours.
Let me return the favor.
I'm not just here with my hand out
asking.
I will actually help you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing, our office at the end of sales meeting every Wednesday will allow us, if you have a listing you're having trouble with, they will put it on the screen.
Oh, and then you
and we quickly go through pictures and we can say, oh, well, this needs to happen and this needs to happen. So if you have a time where your office gets together, you could do virtual feedback.
And it's always nice to be able to hide behind a tour of top agents in your market gave this feedback. Not me, Alyssa. There are other people who are saying this is what needs to happen.
Right. On a side note, what are you you know what I'm having trouble with, not trouble with, but finding interesting and not really sure how to handle it? They are getting feedback from their doorbells and their cameras. And they are knowing more about the house and what the buyers are saying than I do.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
They feel like then you don't really provide that particular piece of value. I don't like it either. Because sometimes they misunderstand what they're saying. Sometimes, we're not even going to get deep into this again, but it's fair housing issue. There's some privacy issues just because in certain states, and I have had people respond to me and say their state allows it, but certain states, it's not okay for you as the seller to record the buyer without their knowledge. Like that is not legal.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Hello.
Makes a lot of sense.
And I wonder, and I'll have to follow up on the Louisiana law, but in our property disclosure now, it actually says, do you have surveillance cameras in the property disclosure? And I think that's because you need to have given them notice. There are cameras here. And as the buyer's agent, you should be giving that notice in your buyer rules or outside of the house before your very first showing. Hey, we have to be able to play poker, which means I need to look happy and like I like it because if I write an offer, we don't want them to be like, well, they didn't seem that interested.
Sure.
And then I also need you to not be like telling them everything about, well, oh, this price is great, or I love this pool, or I have to have this house, or I hate this, whatever. Like you can't, nothing.
Right.
No things. Yes, I've had sellers contact me and be like, this lady took a picture out front of our house calling it her new house. I'm not even joking. She took a picture on the front porch with the Ring doorbell, consistently recording all of it.
Wow. That's scary.
And then it was a multiple offer situation. It's just really, I don't.
I know. Something to give some thought
They need to be aware. And you're right. The seller is getting feedback.
Well, I think that's a good point to tell your sellers that, hey, if there are some situations where you can't record people without their knowledge. So.
Right. Because sellers are like, well, it's my house. We need to do some research on what states this is a law and not. I think in New York, you can't do that. And I don't know what it is here, and I really should know for my seller's sake. But you just assume the seller isn't going to do that, and they're literally doing it live.
They are doing it.
Live as the showing is happening, I'm getting texts. Well, they were here for 13 and a half minutes.
I had a seller that said, they're going to cancel on us. It was after the inspection.
You told us this.
I said, what? She said the dad came and he hates the house and they're going to cancel. And I went, real? I got a cancellation within 20 minutes and she knew before I did.
And you were like, I'm sorry you had to hear it that way?
Yes.
Like, because you don't even get to
nothing.
gloss over it at all. Or, offer some, I mean, you have an agent to be buffer, and that basically removes your buffer agent, right?
I also had one that said during the inspection, she said, well, they said they were going to ask for this, but that it wasn't that big of a deal.
There you go.
Guess what? They didn't get that done because my seller was like, no, I'm not doing that. You even said, I heard you
said
say
it wasn't that big of a deal.
I'm not doing it.
Why did you even ask? You're right.
And then the last note I had was, this happens more than I'd like to admit, but an agent will call for additional feedback after I've already given excellent
You're like,
feedback.
wait a minute, I've done this.
And then they argue with you about it.
They're like, your feedback is not valid.
So don't become combative. So for example, like I get it's our job to sell, but if an agent says, that backyard sloping like that, oh, but it would make a great slide. Well, I don't want to slide.
Slide?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to slip and slide every day.
But it could be really fun, Katie.
I don't. Okay,
Your buyer
thank
should
you.
like it.
Right. That's what I don't. What are
It's
you
like,
arguing
stop.
with me for? I'm not buying the house, and I've told you why they aren't.
Right.
Move on.
Those oak cabinets are coming back.
Right. Oh, I love when they say stuff like that.
It's coming back.
It's all coming back.
Coming back around.
Wallpaper's in. I'm like, wallpaper from 1985 is not in.
No.
Wallpaper from 2020, maybe.
So take the feedback gracefully. and say
Gracefully.
thank you instead of arguing with the feedback provider.
Right. Thank you so much for taking the time to provide this feedback.
Thank you.
50% of our profession didn't even bother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's important. The only other thing I wanted to mention is feedback on yourself. So feedback on your performance and getting feedback and sharing feedback about your experience is basically your client review and testimonial, right?
Sure.
And you have to be able to ask for that at the end of the transaction, or
Yes.
perhaps even think about it during the transaction. Well, what could I have done to make this experience better for you? Like, you should be asking for feedback about yourself, just like you're trying to get feedback about your listings.
Yes,
It really helps.
it does.
It really helps your future clients. It really helps you improve. I love when people give me really solid, well, I didn't think you had enough time for me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that came across that way.
See, I would just crumble.
It only happened to me once, and it still stings, and it's been like over 10 years. I was like, oh my God, really?
I need to toughen up as far as like feedback that
I know.
way.
Well, when people dump me, I am the first thing I want to do is send the email that says, can you just give me a little feedback as to why you chose not to work together? It would really help me improve for my future business. And sometimes they respond.
Yeah.
And most of the times it's nothing that will make you like crumble. But
Yeah, and that's true. I have I think that I do better with feedback when I don't win a listing.
yeah.
And I ask why and they tell me. I'm usually good with their reason. Like my most recent was, well, this other agent said they were going to have the home fully staged.
And you're like, oh.
Oh, I
I
don't do that.
Guess what? Not gonna happen.
Yeah, so good thing you went with that other one because I don't do that.
Oh.
But I think it's harder when if it's a seller that you're already hired by
Yeah.
and they feel like you're not doing a good job.
But that's the time when you really need to know.
Yes.
Like, what are you why aren't you getting what you thought you were going to get?
Sure.
What are you expecting? Maybe
Right.
you have unrealistic expectations, and I can sleep at night knowing that it is what it is.
You did fine, yeah.
But at least I need to know. What if it's really something I'm falling down on the job about?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on feedback?
I think this would be a great episode. So if you're in your app, you can click share episode or
Oh,
copy the link.
yeah.
And every time you see a feedback rant on
Oh,
Facebook,
What a great idea.
you should copy the link to this episode and paste it in the comments.
Okay, and when they come to this episode, I'm going to tell you these two articles. This was the opinion piece in Inman that we read. It was called Listing Feedback Doesn't Matter, Stop Worrying About It.
Okay.
And it was an opinion piece by Teresa Boardman from August of 2021.
Okay.
What I think is hilarious is there was also an article in Inman from 2015, March of 2015 by Henry Bailey. It was labeled under news, not opinion. And it was called No Feedback Could Be All the Real Estate Feedback You Need.
True.
And the funny part of this one was in the beginning paragraph is, while watching a recent soccer match with my 15-year-old son, I commented that the game had no score. He quickly corrected me, as all 15-year-olds will do, and told me that 0-0 is still a score. So no feedback is feedback.
That's feedback. Yes.
It's feedback.
I like that.
Okay.
Who's our toast?
Oh, yes. Let's get ready. Today's toast is from Katie Ortiz in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And she is toasting to Kristen Weekly. She said, she has been a great mentor to me over the years and most recently helped me cover a special client while I was a few days post delivering my son.
Aww.
She took charge and got them under agreement on their dream home.
That's exciting.
I think that's awesome.
we all need a person like that to help.
We so do. I love that that was her mentor, and then she also covered her. Like, they had an ongoing
Yeah,
relationship.
that's
That's so
awesome.
cool. So cheers to Kristen, and thank you to Katie. And y'all go provide the feedback, do it well, and
And don't get upset when others don't.
don't get upset about it. That's right. Oh my gosh. Okay, bye, friends.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week.
Bye.
This is the good life.